Hi there, I'm Julia Sarver with FindYourGlow.com and the Eat Without Apology system. And today we're going to talk about artichokes. So artichokes are one of my favorite foods. They have been since I was a little kid. I don't know about in your family, but in my family, when it was our birthday, we always got to pick what everybody was eating, and I would always vote for artichokes. So this is an artichoke. This is actually an exceptionally huge artichoke. I mean, it's like half the size of my head. That's a really big artichoke. So they're actually really simple to prepare, but they look a little bit intimidating. So I'm going to talk today about how you can prep these, make it easy, what kind of dips you can make for them without making things complicated. So first, when buying an artichoke, you want to look for one that looks like, see how this one is nice and tightly wound? Its leaves aren't super open and frayed. If they are, that means it's older. You also want to kind of look at the bottom. So this one's kind of actually pushing it because it's pretty brown here. You really want to make sure that this area isn't any kind of pink. That means it's molding, so don't do that. But this one looks really healthy. It doesn't have a whole lot of bruises. It has this leaf that's maybe a little bit beat up, but other than that, no big deal. So this is looking like a really nice artichoke. Okay, so to start, what you want to do, these bottom leaves that are really tiny and kind of tough to get off, they don't taste very good, so I just pull those off and just get them out of the way. And the really yummy part is the stalk and the heart, which are on the inside. So I usually cut a little piece of the bottom off just to give it a little bit of fresh space. Look how beautiful that is actually now. And you can tell this is a pretty good one because it's really only the tip that has this brown, so it's kind of nice. Then what I do, so these little leaves often are sharp. This one actually isn't particularly sharp, but most artichokes are sharp. They have a little spike at the end. So what you want to do then, and if your artichoke is one that's pointed at the end, which many of them are, you just want to take a nice big knife, hold the artichoke firmly on your cutting board, and you can just do a cut right down the top. So instead of having to clip off each and everything, you can just do one or two cuts. That gets most of those spikes at the top off. And then what you want to do after that is you want to take a pair of scissors, kitchen shears, and then I just want to make sure that this is clear what I'm doing. I'll move this over here so there's no mess. You just want to snip the tip of each leaf off. So you're just going to take a piece of that top off, the part that has the spike. And I like to just kind of go around the artichoke and do it. Makes it easy, makes it kind of fun. Sometimes you have to slide your scissors under there a little bit. This one didn't quite get done with the cutting. So you'll see that they get, of course this artichoke's fighting me, right? So you'll see what it'll look like when it's done. Each artichoke leaf is going to have this nice little straight line that just shows where you've taken off the spiky part. So with most artichokes, what I would recommend that you do next is you get a steamer basket, one of these guys, a pretty big pot. Put the steamer basket in, pour in about 2 cups of water. You just want to make sure it's enough so that as you're simmering this and steaming this, you don't run out of water. If you know that your stove tends to run hot, or if you're at altitude, you want to add more water. It's going to boil out fast, and burnt artichoke smell on the bottom of your pan is kind of gross. So you can just put this directly in. I always put them head side down to let the steam kind of infiltrate this piece. But because this artichoke is so huge, and you can do this with any artichokes, even if they're not this big, if you're in a hurry, I'm going to cut it in half. So anytime you're cutting anything that's kind of big and rolly like this, you want to put it on its flat side, which in this case would be this piece because I cut that off, so that it's fairly stable. And then I'm just going to cut right through the center. All right, isn't that amazing? Nature's amazing. So here we have the inside of the artichoke. This piece right here is the heart. So this piece right here that looks a little prickly is the thistle. So what I'm going to do is steam these, put them face down so that they get a lot of steaming, and then when it's finished, we'll come back and I'll show you what they look like. Okay, so now our artichoke has been steamed. So there are a couple of things you want to think about when the artichoke is cooking. So remember, I cut this one in half because it's pretty big. So you can cut it in half if it's smaller. If you're using a whole one, it'll take a little longer instead of the 2 halves. But a lot of times to get the heart piece really nice and soft and really delicious, it takes 20 to 25 minutes. Some people steam them for up to 45, but at that point I really think they're too squishy. So you can tell that they're done by taking a sharp knife. So when you see this color here, that's a good indication that they're done. But you don't want to overcook them either. So it still feels firm to my touch. And then when I poke it with a knife, see how there's no resistance? It just goes right in. So that's actually a perfectly done artichoke heart. You can also go to the back side and pull off some of the bottom leaves. See how easy that came off? If you try to do that with a raw artichoke, you have a fight on your hands. It's really hard to do. So that's another sign that they are ready. Now when I put it in the steamer basket, I'll just tell you this. So I actually set it down this way first so that the inside piece was exposed to the steam. And after about 15 minutes, I turned it so that the backside was getting the steam. So one side wasn't getting more cooked than the other, but it is the heart that you really want to make sure gets cooked well because you can eat it crunchy. I just think it tastes better cooked. So let's talk about sauces. So there's always the classic butter sauce. So basically just melting some butter. You can clarify it if you want to. When you do that, you basically melt it, then let it cool, and then you scrape off the solids. You can also do something that I do fairly often, which is to grill them, and they are so amazing when they're grilled. So basically what we do is we just brush a little olive oil on it, or maybe use one of those sprays just to get a little bit of grease on it, a little bit of fat to keep it from sticking to the grates. And you get your grill at like 400 degrees, and then you just plonk it right down on there until it gets those nice grill marks, and then you can turn it around and put it the other way. That just tastes really good by itself. We'll usually season it with a little salt and pepper to pop that in there. The other thing we might do in our house is I have some flavored olive oils, which are really delicious. You can also just drizzle the flavored olive oil on it, and then as you're drizzling it, kind of peel back the layers so that you can pour a little oil in there. Basil olive oil is really good. Garlic olive oil is really good. Some people, a guy I dated years ago, his mom actually really liked to dip them in just straight old mayo. Not my thing. I really tend to do the butter or the olive oil thing, but there's lots of different ways you can eat them. And once you've pulled the leaves off, so we always start by putting it flat down like this, and we pull all the leaves off, and we eat it. And let's actually taste one. So what you do is you put your teeth here, your bottom teeth, or you can do it this way to use your top. And there's a little bit of meat that you'll pull out right here. It's really good, this one. And then once you've done all that, once you've gone through all the leaves, when you turn it over again, these leaves in here, these kind of inside ones, tend to be a little bit prickly. You can still eat them. Some people like to eat them. They're pretty delicate. What you don't want to eat is this kind of hairy stuff here. That's the choke part. That's the thistle. So you want to just either scrape it off with a spoon. That's really easy. Or you can just take a knife like this. See, it's even just coming off on my knife really easily. And you just scrape it off. And then what you're left with once you've scraped that off is the heart. And the heart is the best part. And the heart you can eat with a knife and fork. You can just, the heart's going to be this piece. You can eat this stem piece. There's nothing wrong with it. It tastes really good. This is the heart piece. And you can just pick it up with your fingers and dip it in the butter, or you can eat it with a fork and knife, whatever works in your household. And this is kind of a fun thing you can do when you have friends over for special occasions. It's really easy. It does take a little bit of time, but it is a really easy show-stopping appetizer or snack. We'll often make these and just store them in the fridge, which is great because if I get hungry, I don't always want to have to deal with making something, and if these are ready to go, I'll always grab one. They're really great. So let me know if you try this. Let me know if you have more questions, and I'm excited to hear how it goes when you bring artichokes into your household. Thank you.